Day 48. Did like a half-hour sauna session, but it didn't get that hot, and I don't know, a lot of heaviness in the air with everything that's going on. Just walking my pup and trying to process. Last night I just felt like I don't know what to do, so I did the only thing I could think of that made any sense to me, which was to do a sound ceremony, because I do feel there's something more powerful in holographic sound healing than anything that I can express or understand. There's some quote that's like, when words fail, music speaks. Such an interesting time as there's these crazy wildfires and people are losing their homes. And at the same time, I am looking for a new home. It just feels very uprooting and destabilizing in a time when I just want to feel safe. So I know the invitation is to know that I am safe, to lean into faith, and also to know that I'm not doing it alone and I can reach out for support. The interesting thing is, yesterday when I needed support, I reached out to a few friends, and at the same time it became apparent that someone else needed support, so I ended up supporting them, and that kind of let me know that I could support someone else, and that felt good. It's like 6 o'clock and I don't know if I filmed anything at all today. No, I think I did. And I took Liam on a walk because I kind of remember seeing myself looking like this. Just don't feel like being on film. I did a couple sound journeys last night. I just cried today. Got some work done. And now I'm back to the Great British Baking Show. Oh, I also had Mentally Fit class today. But I just feel heavy and yeah. A little bit like frozen, paralyzed, like just in shock or something, and it's just hard to move. I mean, I have tried to flow through this in various ways, so I think this is just this phase of it, because I've been proactive about ceremony, and I think right now it's just being I'm like getting to do it, ready to do a big closet purge. So I'm wondering, like, this is an opportunity to figure out where to send these clothes with a different intention. I don't know what I'm saying. It's like there's just moments when I feel just total grief, and then there's other moments that I feel some strong heart force energy of continuance, and like the Lion King, the medicine woman speaking through me, moving through me, pushing their way out through me. I'm just feeling the need for stillness. But I will say that, like, when life throws some things in front of your face, it really helps you to get clear on your priorities. So I think this is a really interestingly unique time to hone in on, how do I want to live my life? What does that look like every day? Not that it's different from the way I'm living now, but it's like noticing my vision board and connecting to nature, and with the need to move on the table. What does that look like? I've been living in the city. I came to Texas with the idea of doing permaculture, and the only time I did permaculture last year was like a couple volunteer times and working on a big project in Alabama that I think, I don't know. What's coming up right now is like, why ritualize like endings and beginnings? Because if you don't, it just gets messy, it feels like, where it bleeds in to other things. So like maybe that's the invitation to do that year compass thing that I did last year, even though it's already, you know, the beginning of the new year. Like, what does that mean? Like, I think it has such a good way of closing out last year, because like you literally go through and say like all the things that you did. And I remember writing that last year, and it was just like this, I had taken photos, so I was, you know, of a lot of things, so I was able to like look between my calendar and my photos of like all the things I did like the previous year. And so like, my goodness, that would be a interesting list. It was such a cool thing to look back on. And so, but it's all feeling like finding motivation right now, and my body and mind are like being called to just stillness and a combination of reflection and just finding wholesomeness. It's like seeking clarity, but also knowing what the clarity is. And so therefore it's kind of a beginnings and endings death ritual. It's just constant. I feel like it is so constant. And it's kind of the only way to live, because it's just like recognizing it for what it is, so that there can be this ceremony of letting it go. I mean, that's the call for like traditions and rituals, is like to remind ourselves, how do we move through things that are challenging and difficult, and how do we let go of the concept of holding things, knowing that we can't hold them, and that if we try, it'll just weigh us down and make us sick and paralyze us. So it just makes me like think of the hummingbird and like the power and stillness. Like, its wings are going crazy and it's like still in air. And proportionally, it's not supposed to be able to fly, so it's like sacred geometry. And I don't know, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts. I feel like there's a thread there that I just can't speak. Or, I don't know, my brain is feeling the exhaustion. I think that's just the awareness when it's just time to be and just feel. And also not sulk in it. Just like notice. Be curious and allow the messages to come through from that. So like for me, in this time of chaos, destruction, and endings, and a lot of availability to fear and devastation and sadness and all of these things, what I'm also understanding is my desire to simplify and connect to nature. What are we really here to do? It's just like support one another and share intimate moments. Grow and learn and play and find joy. And remind each other what beauty we see in each other when it's hard to see. When we can't see it in ourselves, we can shine a mirror at another and they'll shine one right back at us. And suddenly there's just this ball of sunshine energy of what's possible. The seed of a new beginning. It was really wild trying to do sound journey last night. One was a ceremony for a friend for a gift of honoring her. And the other was just a sound journey for the moment, right then and there, to feel. And the strongest message that came through was faith, which was my word for last year. But it was interesting to hear the tones that came through and like the depth. I don't know if I will share that video or not. I'm still learning. I'm still like getting used to using my voice again. I used to sing in choir and like all through school and theater, musicals. I did chanting at a temple, and I was in a kirtan band briefly, and so like music has always been a part of my life, but at some point I just stopped singing, and so now toning is singing again. It's a muscle. I have to just practice, but it's also like it's a completely different thing when I'm doing the holographic sound and toning. It's not like a practice thing of what I know I'm gonna do. It's like what happens in that moment and what is being called for is really wild and raw, and just training my muscles to be available for that. But I also think just like witnessing those different tones come through and the messages and visions that I saw and felt in that, it just feels sad and heavy and big, much bigger than me. So what does one little person do? And that's why I sang last night. I didn't know what else to do. So I just sang the song of faith, recognizing what this is right now. I don't know why I would hesitate to post it, although I saw someone say like, you only get one first impression, so don't start putting your sound out there until you've honed your practice. And I'm like, I mean, maybe that's true, but also, like, that's just one part of the story, and that could make somebody delay indefinitely. Just thinking that they're not good enough, or that the medicine of that experience won't be delivered unless you've really honed it. How else are you going to learn? Part of learning is learning to record yourself and be okay with it, and sharing and being okay with it. With a desire to hone, but also the availability to the vulnerability of saying, you got to start somewhere. Here's my journey. Here's where I'm starting from. And I'm not trying to pretend to be perfect or think that that's even available or the goal. I think maybe that's part of my message, is just to be a little bit more raw. Like, I'm seeing myself for who I am in doing this, what am I on, day 48, I think, practice of posting a video every day with, like, I don't think I've had makeup on in, like, hardly any of them. And I'm usually like this, in a very raw, vulnerable state, or in the sauna. Because that's the truth. It's who I am. And I'm learning to, like, love seeing myself just being myself, and letting go of some of the criticism I've held for myself and my image and what it's supposed to be. I mean, the coolest thing about what's been happening in my life lately is, like, the thought of having no idea what's coming next. And what's coming next feels like home a lot of times, even when it feels like totally crazy. So I feel like maybe I'm just inching myself closer and closer to home. I mean, my goodness. Like, I'm wearing, like, the Ram Dass wardrobe right now. We're all just walking each other home. Like, literally, this is Love Everyone. This is from the Ram Dass Love, Serve, Remember network. And I have a Be Here Now sweatshirt on. Just to remind myself constantly, we're all just walking each other home. Love everyone. Be here now. That was also a message that came through last night. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think maybe I really do need to just start writing down these things as they come through. Keep a notebook handy when I'm doing these sound journeys, or journals, so that I just write it. Anyways, for having no video today, this is me rambling from being here now.